We're streaming now live, Chair.
And then
Thank you very much.
after the meeting.
Thank you very much.
I want a meeting, thanks.
Committee, we're starting the meeting now. Maisie, apologies, please.
Chair, we have received apologies from councillors Duffy, Hack and Walker.
Thank you very much. Minutes of the last meeting that we had, have you all seen them? Are they correct? Can I theoretically sign them?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do we have any public addresses, deputations, Maisie?
No, none, Chair.
Thank you very much. Committee, any declarations of interest, please?
No.
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 Okay. Right. Matters of urgency. I don't think we've got any. James, have we? James?
No, Chair.
No, fine, thank you. So we'll come on to item 6, which is the Licensing Act. And I think, Louise, this is for you. I hope you've all read the report because it makes very interesting reading, and I have to say it's a splendid job you've done, Louise. So do you want to crack on?
Yes, okay, thank you, Chair. Okay, so this report is to allow the Alcohol and Gambling Committee to consider the proposed new Northampton Borough Council Statement of Licensing Policy as part of a statutory review which must take place before February 2021 and for the purposes of undertaking the necessary statutory consultation. So the recommendations are the committee approved the draft proposed Statement of Licensing Policy as detailed in Appendix A to be subject to consultation as required by Section 5 of the Licensing Act 2003, and with a view to officers reporting back to the committee in order to seek referral to the first full council meeting thereafter for adoption of that policy. And that the committee delegate the authority to commence the necessary statutory consultation to the Environmental Health and Licensing Manager. So the background and issues. In accordance with Section 5 of the Act, the Councillor's Licensing Authority for the district area of Northampton is required to make and adopt a Statement of Licensing Policy in accordance with which premises licence applications must be decided. There is also a duty to review the Statement of Licensing Policy at least once every 5 years and adopt a new policy or renew the existing one after undertaking the necessary consultation. The Council's current Statement of Licensing Policy was last adopted in February 2016 and needs to be reviewed with a view to adopting a new policy or renewing the existing one no later than February 2021. This report seeks approval of the draft of the proposed new Statement of Licensing Policy by the committee and delegation of the authority to officers to undertake the necessary consultation prior to consideration. Once this has taken place and the response is considered, a further report will be brought to the committee to seek a resolution to refer the proposed Statement of Licensing Policy to full council for adoption, which is the statutory requirement. The committee cannot by law adopt or renew a Statement of Licensing Policy. The existing policy was initially adopted by full council on the 12th of December 2004 and required review periodically. The Secretary of State has since decreed that the policy must now be reviewed at least every 5 years, although a licensing authority can review it at any time it wishes. The last council review and revision occurred in February 2016, so another review and adoption of the new policy or renewal of an existing one must now take place, irrespective of the creation of a new unitary local authority for West Northampton on the 1st of April 2021. The proposed Statement of Licensing Policy is in accordance with provisions of the Act and with regard to the current statutory guidance issued under Section 182 of the same Act and is appended to this report in Appendix A. The draft policy Appendix A has been produced with the assistance of the Northamptonshire Licensing Liaison Group. This group consists of local authority licensing team leads from each district council, the police, fire service, trade and standards and the local health authority. There are no key significant proposed changes in the draft document, but there are some changes to contact details and website details. The Statement of Licensing Policy will need to be reviewed by West Northamptonshire Council as the licensing authority for the new unitary district area of West Northamptonshire at some point in the next 5 years. South Northamptonshire and Daventry District Councils have recently adopted a very similar Statement of Licensing Policy. so that until such a time as the West Northamptonshire Council reviews all 3 policies, which will be applicable in the new unitary district council area, there will be a consistent approach to licensing policy in West Northamptonshire. Section 5 of the Act requires the council to consult with the following organisations and persons as part of review of the current policy. That's the Chief Officer of Police for the Licensing Authorities area, Fire and Rescue Authority, each local health board for an area, any part of which is in the Licensing Authorities area, each local authority in England whose public health functions within the meaning of the National Health Service Act 2006 are exercisable in respect of an area, any part of which is in the Licensing Authorities area. Such persons as the Licensing Authority considers to be representative as holders of the premises licence issued by that authority. Such persons as the Licensing Authority considers to be representative of holders of club premises certificates issued by the authority. Such persons as the Licensing Authority considers to be representative of holders of personal licences issued by the authority, and such other persons as the Licensing Authority considers to be representative of businesses and residents in the area. The Environmental Health and Licensing Manager proposed to consult the organisations and persons above and to request comments from each within a period of 6 weeks, as there are no proposed significant changes to the policy since the last publication. So the choices are, the committee can choose to approve the draft policy at Appendix A for consultation and choose to delegate the appropriate delegations to the Environmental Health and Licensing Manager to undertake the statutory process. This option is recommended and This option is recommended in order to ensure that the policy for Northampton matches up with the other statement of licensing policies, which are likely to remain in force within the new West Northamptonshire district area as part of interim arrangements, which will reduce the risk of judicial challenge against West Northamptonshire Council until such time as it adopts one single policy for the new district area. The committee can choose to request amendments to the draft proposed policy, Appendix A, prior to consultation. This option is not recommended because if a policy that does not accord with the other policies in the new West Northamptonshire district area is ultimately adopted by the council, the risk of judicial challenge by premise licence applications in Northampton against West Northamptonshire Council will remain. The committee can choose to not consult about a proposed replacement, and this option is not recommended as the council has a statutory duty to review the existing policy no later than February 2021, and not doing so would be unlawful. This could potentially make any decisions made by either the council and eventually West Northamptonshire's council with regard to a premise licence application unlawful until a review and statutory consultation as required by Section 5 of the Act is eventually carried out and a new policy adopted. So the policy implications are that the existing council statement of licensing policy would potentially be replaced by the draft proposed policy at Appendix A and subject to any consultees and adoption by the full council. There's no financial risk associated with the consultation exercise. I shan't read through the legal comments unless anybody particularly wants me to.
No, don't worry.
I would like to just add that I have noticed on the report in Appendix A that unfortunately at the end of the policy, it was a joint policy as we said in the report across the county, and I accidentally submitted the one that had the East Northampton on it. So that will be amended in the one that goes out to consultation, showing the contact details for Northampton and the right plan.
Fine.
You're aware. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Louise. That's brilliant. Committee, have you any questions, please, of
Yes,
Louise?
Yes,
Sally,
please.
and then Phil.
I just want a little bit more clarification on the statement of gambling policy. I'm very concerned about gambling and the effect it has on children's lives. And I just wondered if you've got a statement of gambling policy on the first page of the report on agenda item number 2. And I just wondered if there was any way we can tighten up on those at all.
That's not due for review at the moment, councillors. So
Okay.
that will be one of the first policies that will probably come before the new West Northamptonshire Council.
Okay.
Maybe later next year.
Yes, it is a bit of a worry for me because of, you know, the effect it can have on children's lives, with people who have a gambling habit. I know they can do it online and everything, but we don't have to encourage it in the town.
Yeah, yes, of course. I mean,
Ali.
gambling establishments do have to have a risk assessment that's undertaken and do need to adhere to certain conditions of their licensing.
Thanks. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
Bill, you're next.
Yeah, paragraph 3.7, subparagraph H. Such persons as the licensing authority considers to be representative of businesses and residents in its area. Can Louise give me some idea as to who it is we might be consulting under that paragraph?
Which page are you on, Phil? Sorry.
Paragraph 3.7 of the report, subparagraph H on page 5.
You.
Yeah, that will, of course, thank you, Councillor, that will be things like the bid. We'll go out to consult with a bid. We'll look as widely as possible. Obviously, it will go out on the web, which will be open, and there will be some communications done so that can be open as much as possible to residents and any interested parties. We do also usually consult with solicitors and various other representatives of the licensed trade. If there's a particular section that you feel we should be consulting with, then obviously please do let us know.
It says businesses and residents. I just wondered under the residents who you might be consulting with, but I'll give it some thought, Louise.
Yeah, okay.
Glad to know you're dealing with the bid. That's good.
Okay. Committee, any more questions? Yes, Aziz?
Yes, I like to raise one issue. What policy we have to prevent underage drinker? Can I give you example? Lot of off licenses, corner shops selling alcohol. What they're doing, this youngster cannot drink alcohol at home, and they get their friends send adult to buy the alcohol, and they're drinking anywhere. They're putting cans, bottles everywhere. They find alleyway and everywhere. And police, when you call police, police is not active. They don't have time. Even sometimes they say, oh, we don't have time to deal this matter. So that way I can see we are destroying the youngster. They are drinking very early age, 12, 13, and completely they are drinking wine, beer, every single thing. So what policy we have to prevent this?
Thank you, Aziz. Louise?
Yeah, okay. I mean, I can only comment in terms of issues at certain premises. If there are particular premises that are being identified as giving cause for concern, we will continue as we always have done in the past. We do work very much as a multi-agency, and we work with our partner organisations. And as you may be aware, or other councillors may have seen in the past, there is action that is taken against premises that are found to be flouting the law. You know, that can be such things as test purchases can be carried out in respect of if there's a particular premises being identified that is selling to underage, then of course that should be identified and should be looked at accordingly.
Yes, Aziz?
Yes, I'm not talking they are selling to underage. They are selling to adults. Adults buy the alcohol for the underage children, and they just buy this and drink round the corner, any alleyway and everywhere. After they drink, they throw the cans darting our street. And you cannot blame who's selling it. Is the people who's buying it and giving to youngster is on the street. We need to monitor our street properly to stop this. Like I got an alleyway back of my house, you will see full of cans, full of bottle, all youngsters gathering there at night and drinking alcohol. Where they're getting the alcohol from? So if you say, if I am a shop owner, I got an off license, I'll say, oh, I sold it to adult. So I don't know what happened after that. So how are we going to monitor this? This is a big issue. They're dirtying our street.
Actually, sorry, Louise, I'm not sure that one can do that, Aziz, I'm not sure, and James I'll fetch you in a minute. I don't see how you can stop an adult buying alcohol. What they do with it after that, again, I'm not sure.
Well, it's police responsibility. I believe it's police responsibility to stop people drinking, because I called many times police and around my restaurant, and they are buying from off license opposite. They are sitting on the wall and drinking alcohol, throwing cans everywhere, and no, we did not get any response. So we need to monitor our street to stop this happening.
Louise, have you got any comments to make on that, please?
I can only really add that, obviously, again, that there's a multi-agency approach, and there are offences for purchasing the alcohol for minors. Obviously, you need to evidence those offences, but sometimes it's an approach that needs to be taken as looking at using community officers, police officers, and there are particular issues identified, that needs to be an approach across a whole range of different organisations working together to look at the issues in that area. And sometimes it does take time to collate all that information and to look at particular issues. I think maybe it's something that we maybe need to talk to Councillor Aziz about separately if there are particular issues.
Well, this problem is everywhere, not on my street, every alleyway. This is a big problem. If you go visit any alleyway, you will find cans, bottles, beer bottles, and everything is there. Youngsters drinking there. I'm not talking about who's selling. I'm talking about youngsters drinking on the street. And you cannot penalize the shopkeeper for that. It is the environment issue. This is the police issue. We need to. I think we are completely failing on this issue.
Yeah, Aziz, I'm sorry to interrupt you, and I think you've got a very good point. But basically, what we're here for this evening is not actually to consider that, because that is a separate issue. Youngsters drinking on the street is a separate issue.
Well, this is related to license anyway, because we are issuing license.
Can I come in, Chair?
Sally, I'm fetching you in. Yeah, Sally.
Thank you. It is illegal to buy from a shop and supply youngsters. And often if there's an area that people suspect this is happening, they'll often bring trading standards and various other people in to actually work in that area. But you have to sort of build up a case. And maybe that's what Councillor needs to do in his area. Exactly. We have done it with places like Asda and a lot of supermarkets now watch who's buying alcohol and taking it out. And it's sort of specialised items that they're looking for, like cheap cider, cheap vodka, those sort of things. And if people are buying a lot of that, then they're monitoring that and reporting it to trading standards. So there is something being done, but it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a while.
Exactly.
Can I say, Chair, Sally's absolutely right. We had significant problems up on Wootton Fields, and it did take the police a long time to actually build up a case. But we ran with it. We ran with it for a long time, and by running with it for a long time to collect all the evidence and all the everything we needed, we were successful in addressing the issue. So it does take time. It's a big evidence gathering exercise, but it needs everybody to come together where a situation is identified, and for that work to be undertaken on a multi-agency basis.
Yeah. Councillor Aziz, are you happy with that? Because I think it's very sensible advice. With getting back to this evening, James, have you got any comments or advice from us, please?
Just about that question by Councillor Aziz. Any person drinking in the street is technically a breach of the Public Space Protection Order, and either an authorised person on behalf of the council or a police constable can request that person to stop drinking and to surrender it to them. So I think you were correct, Chair, in saying it's not entirely a licensing issue. And the issue of discarded drinks containers is littering, really. But again, it requires enforcement from either, well, with respect to littering, it requires enforcement from council authorised officers. But with regard to the breach of the Public Space Protection Order, the police can enforce that. So it's just a question of whether they will in any given situation or not.
Yeah. Thanks, James.
With regard to any legal comments, mate, my legal comments are at 5.3, paragraph 5.3 of the report, on the penultimate page, and I haven't really got anything further to add to them.
Okay, thank you. May come back. Phil, you're waving well.
Yeah, can I ask James? I mean, I hear what Councillor Aziz says, and I'm aware that this drinking amongst youngsters goes on. You say that it's in breach of the Public Spaces Protection Order. Does the Public Spaces Protection Order cover rear access roads? Because where I live, we've got lots of rear alleyways. We do get kids up there drinking and all sorts of things. And does it have to be the highway, or can it be private rear access roads?
It covers any space which is open to the air and is publicly accessible, regardless of whether it's a private property or not. So the only space it doesn't really cover is private gardens. But other than that, it is a public space open to the air. So yes, it would cover it. Yes.
That's good, Chair, because that's where a lot of the problems are. Thank you.
Exactly. Fine, thank you very much. Now, if we just get back to this evening, we've got the recommendation from Louise is a 4.1 this option is recommended. Have you all seen it? You've heard everything that's happened. Do you go along with recommending this option?
Isn't it section 2, Chair?
Sorry?
Aren't the recommendations at section 2 on page 3?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Propose they be accepted, Chair.
Well, yes, I'm hoping that you will, because we're going to be have great problems if we don't accept this. I think as time goes on.
If Phil's going to propose it, Chair, I'll second it.
Phil, are you proposing?
Sorry, I did say I'll propose that we accept them.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Didn't hear that.
I'll second it.
Okie dokie. Could I ask everybody, are you in favour?
Agreed.
Anybody against?
Agreed.
No, so that's going through. Fine. Thank you very much. Nothing else, Louise, that's it.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, James, nothing that you want to say?
Too late now.
So, no, Chair, no, that's fine. Thank
It
you.
wasn't particularly about that. I just wondered if there's anything you wanted to say because of the way everything's going to go when we're at a unitary. Just a little
God help us.
offset. Okay, fine. Maisie, I think we're ready to go. Thank you very much, committee. I'll see
Thank you,
you
Penny.
at the next time.